Awareness without action is probably one of the worst decisions you could ever make for yourself, let alone one of the worst people you could ever surround yourself with. Let me explain. So I had a friend who was depressed, felt lonely, the whole package. Um, and they'll tell me about their issues, which is really not an issue. It's not an issue for someone to, try to confide in you. But it's almost as if you told them about a solution of any sorts, they would almost swerve so that they can avoid that certain solution. Or they'd act like you've never said the solution ever in your life. Because let me tell you the truth. Complacency is so sweet. It's a drug. Not only and the something that's even more addictive than that is comfort. Because wallowing in your suffering, wallowing in your pity, wallowing in your sadness, depression, loneliness, all those bad feelings is so sweet. And that's the thing. You'd be like, why would you say it's sweet when this is a place of suffering? Because of comfort. Comfort is something that you find within something that you've always known, which will be things like, sadness and depression and all those things. And you know what's so sad about awareness? It gives you a false sense of reality, that you're almost solving the issue, but you're not. Basically, gaslighting yourself. And it's actually one of the worst things that could ever happen because it's like you've taken I've said one of the worst so many times, but it's true. It's like you've taken the worst chain of events. If you've had decisions and maybe this was like awareness without action, that is the worst chain of events you could ever choose in your life. Guys, I'm guilty of this too because let me explain. I, you know, I've kind of decided, or I think this is true for a lot of people, but this year I decided that I don't want to lie to myself about things anymore. Lying to myself in terms of not telling myself the truth about certain things, about people. For example, if I know that this is someone my light fell. If I know that this is someone I should not be talking to in general, interacting with, I'll be like, no, they might be a good person, Just, what if they, and most times they don't. Most times they're a person who has had like sacrificial scars on their body. Oh, I'm not saying like SH or any sort of those things. Maybe they've just looked very, very funky in general, and I said, let me give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm saying sacrificial scars in terms of like they decorate themselves in such a way that's just very confusing and very red flag-ish. Um, this has nothing to do with self-harm. But anyways, um, even just that the way that they act in this, even just the way that they act or the way that they go about things, and you just turn a blind eye to these things. I decided I don't want to lie to myself about these things, and the reason why it's taken so long for me to come to that conclusion is because it's much more comfortable it's much more comfortable to give people the benefit of the doubt than actually going through the realization that these people are funky. People are funky. So I decided not to lie to myself about people, about myself, that certain behaviors that I do are okay or justified. There's a fly zooming around and it's so annoying. I'll kill it later. But I've tried to convince myself of these things, which I don't want to do anymore. That's the awareness without action. Oh, without action part, which I'm actively trying to stop. It's going back to the previous topic or the previous chain of thought. Um, Complacency is also a dangerous thing, like I said before. Stay away from complacent people because one thing we don't really pay attention to or realize is that people's energy or frequency or whatever you want to call it rubs off so heavily on you. It's why that saying, show me your friends and I'll tell you your future is so true. Because unconsciously, even if you are hanging out with someone and you're like, now I'll never be like them, you will find yourself molding into another version of them eventually. Most times when people tell you about issues about themselves, especially people who are aware with no sort of motivation to do any action is that they want you to wallow in the same pain and pity that they're in. And that's the truth. They're not here looking for solutions, they're looking for a companion. And yeah, that's all I want to say. Goodbye, everyone.